3 days, they packed in so much fun.
A lot of laughing, a lot of smiling. That'll be amazing.
It's a no-brainer. Travel the world, meet people. This was the best thing that ever happened to me.
You're listening to the DreamTrips Podcast.
And welcome again to another incredible episode of the DreamTrips Podcast. My name is Wayne McMullen, and I'm joined by my incredible co-host and partner in crime, Miss Hannah de Klerk.
Thank you so much for allowing me to stick around for another episode. I truly appreciate it.
I got to tell you that the feedback we got about your singing was exactly as I expected. They really don't want you to do it again, Hannah.
I was going to say, I thought Simon Cowell called me about it, I got just...
Called you about it or called you out about it?
Yeah, he called me just to tell me that he's like, that was horrible.
Horrible. It was horrible, Hannah. But, enough about us. We've got a pretty cool episode coming up for all of our listeners today, haven't we?
Well, yeah, let me just stop crying for a second, and then I will get to the next part. Thank you very much. So what is our episode about today?
Well, we're really centering our episode today all on travel community, the community that is DreamTrips. The reason why this came up is somebody actually said that, isn't it a bit weird to travel in a community? And I'm like, no, communities are kind of cool. And I know that you agree with me on this.
Well, I completely agree with you. In my mind, a community to me is a neighborhood or, a group of people, that get together and have, I don't even know, barbecues or whatnot. What a community?
I think just like you said it, I've got a very active community that I'm part of over here in the United States, but I'm also active in the expat community. I'm an Englishman here in Texas, and I've found other local Englishmen, and we connect on that as well. I think it's about connecting, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, it's funny. I was actually looking up the definition of community in the dictionary because I was curious about it. And it said verbatim that it is a group of like-minded individuals. So
verbatim, that's a big word for us.
I know, right? Put that on the record, please.
Serious,
Thank you.
Serious.
Mark that one down.
But it is. It really is. And I think that's what makes DreamTrips so incredibly special. In addition to talking about our community today, we've got our regular features. We've got our membership spotlight, and we've got our social beat, where Jason and I get to do something a little bit different this time. And I'm really excited about your DreamTrips local update as well. Are you going to give us another hint as to where you're going if people didn't figure it out from that illustrious singing that you did last
I just want to put it on the record that I didn't want you all to fall too in love with me. And if I would have sang, you all just would have, it would have been that.
Let's just go straight into it then. And I've got a great feature interview today with somebody really special. Do you want to hear it?
I'd love to hear it.
Well, then let's go for it.
Today's feature.
And welcome again to today's feature on the DreamTrips Podcast. Well, today, I got to tell you, we've really gone to extreme lengths to get some of the most incredibly important people here on the podcast for you members out there. Because we've actually got the brand new president of Rovia, Mr. Jim Menge, in the house today. Hi, Jim. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thank you, Wayne. It's great to be here.
You know what? It's really cool. I know you just actually came back off of a flight, so thank you very much. You've got quite a starred past in the travel industry. Do you want to run us through a couple of the highlights of your travel past?
Yeah, you bet. The travel industry really appealed to me as a child. I grew up in Miami, and as a child, my brothers and I would ride our bicycles to the airport, to Miami International Airport, and we would watch planes come in from all over South America, Central America, and the Caribbean. And we would just wonder, where are these planes coming from, and who's in them, and where are they going, and why are they going? And so for me, that sort of became almost my personal vision. Joined the Air Force. After that, I spent about 20 years working for American Airlines in their vacation program and their technology divisions. From there, I went to work for two leading luxury travel companies, Virtuoso and American Express. Virtuoso is one we'll hear more about in the near future. From there, I spent about 10 years working with venture capital and private equity, which are owners of travel companies that wanted to do different kinds of things with travel products. So I did that and then wound up here at World Ventures probably about 4 years ago.
And you actually took a little bit of a hiatus from us after spending a lot of time here, and I'm building up a great relationship, I must say, with all of our independent reps that are out there, as well as our membership, of course. And now here we go. We're really honored to have you back. Why don't you explain to me exactly what Rovia is? Because I think there's a little bit of confusion out there. People hear Roval travel, booking engine, and travel products. Why don't you explain to me exactly what Rovia is?
Sure, thank you. And let me say, first of all, also that it's an honor for me to be back as well. Well, Rovia is a licensed travel company in the U.S. So Rovia is the face of DreamTrips to the travel industry. When we talk about DreamTrips then, and we refer to DreamTrips internally to our staff, we use a different name. We call ourselves just Travel Products. We don't generally refer to ourselves as Rovia because it's not about Rovia. It's about DreamTrips. So the DreamTrips is our flagship product in Rovia and for the membership. At least I like to think so. So what we look at is how does the DreamTrips product work, and where is it today, and how did we get where we are with it, and then for me, the reason I'm back is where are we taking it?
Today, we're really theming this podcast on the whole sense of community and travel community, and that's such a big deal with our DreamTrips product. Would you say that traveling as part of a community really enhances that travel experience?
Absolutely. The benefit for us as part of DreamTrips is that we get to look at the travel program as a worldwide phenomena. So group travel in and of itself is not necessarily a new thing. I mean, they used to travel with camels and, and it kind of did.
Let me make it clear that you and I never used to travel with camels. Okay, exactly.
So group travel outside of the United States is generally how most people travel in the leisure segment. Mm-hmm. So in Europe, group travel is probably about 70 or 80% of how they travel. They take a group trip, they see an advertisement, and they go on a trip. In Asia, they travel. Many of them travel in groups, and they might not be aware of that they're traveling with a group, but generally there's a lot of product that's procured through this group purchase thing. In the U.S., it's a little different, but I think the secret sauce is in the word curated, and probably curated group, because group are really the people who are our members. And when we build a dream trip, we're building it for people of a like interest. So like interests are different than like-minded, right? You and I might agree on where we're going and what we're doing, but we might not agree on a lot of other things.
Gotcha.
So we call it like interest. And the idea behind the curated part is how do we elevate the experience?
So much about travel and group travel in the community is really about the stories that you actually collect along the way. Would you expand on how important really that part of DreamTrips is and collecting those stories and building those relationships?
Sure. To me, stories are everything. On my flight last night, our plane was about 4 hours late. And so the lady I was sitting next to had asked about travel, and I started telling her just about some of the places I'd been. She asked me if I had a passport. I said yes. She asked if she could see it. So I said sure. I just made sure I covered the cover page so she couldn't tell anything about me. But I'm a big privacy guy.
I hear you.
And so, but we started talking about different places. And when we landed, the couple in front of us said, we want to go where you go. We want to go how you go. Can you tell us how to do that? So stories are to me the blood of our membership. I mean, they're what keeps the body moving. Mm-hmm. Right? That's the part that helps us find new members, or it helps us learn more, and it makes us happier, and it makes us more aware of the people around us. So I love the concept of group travel and curated group travel particularly.
I know you recently said that you were looking at doing a trip via train. Did that come to fruition?
It did. Well, I've taken the train in about 40 countries.
Oh, wow. So
for me, when I travel, I'll usually leave a day before or after to go do something different. Mm-hmm. So as an example, in Florence in October or November, I arrived a day early. I took the train to a little city-state called San Marino. To the end of the train line, and then took a bus to San Marino. So train in different countries is very economical. It's quick to get around on. You can talk to people on the train and read whatever you need to do. The next day, I took the train then to Trieste, which is in the northern part of Italy, got off the train, and I walked for an hour and a half to my 100th country. And so, again, train was great. In the U.S., my brother and I just took the train from Los Angeles to Seattle, 36 hours.
Oh, wow.
People who I've told to, it just seems like no one ever knew that trains run in this country. So it was a great, great, great experience. And he talks about it to his friends. Will call and say, hey, tell us about the train. How do we take the train? Right. And we had sleeper cars. You know, one of the awesome stories, Wayne, and that one was that on the train, they have these, they have a dining car where you eat, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And they have like a cafe car where you can go get a coffee or espresso or something. They have a parlor car that has like a bar at one end and couches and, big windows that you could sit in and hang out. And then below the parlor car downstairs, because a lot of these trains are double decker, is a movie theater. And when I was upstairs with my brother and we were talking about travel and how we do and what we do, there were people started showing up. And so the conductor came by and said, hey, can you take your speech downstairs to the movie theater? So I was downstairs with about 20 people talking about travel.
That's cool. I mean, I think the really great thing about travel, and feel free to agree or disagree with me, is that you do get those experiences with people that you normally would not meet, and you get to spread that joy.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. And I think that's the opportunity in travel and group travel and curated group travel is really not go to the extreme like in a bad way, but go to the extreme in a great way. Push yourself a little bit. Do something you might not have ever done or that you might not be comfortable with.
Would you say that's key to really a member getting the most out of their membership is really pushing themselves?
Yeah, I think it's, if one of the things that I think about when I travel is when I'm finished with this place and I leave, what's going to be the one thing I'm going to look back on and wish that I had done? And that's what I go and do then, because I don't want to leave thinking like something is not done here.
So we all experience crazy things while we're traveling. Give me your craziest experience you've had traveling, and a good crazy experience, of course.
The one that comes to mind when I think about groups and curated groups was I was making a speech. I was doing a lot of public speaking in Macau. Macau was a sort of a Portuguese startup island off the coast of China near Hong Kong. And Macau is where the tallest bungee jump off of a building is. And so a group of people said, hey, let's go to this building and jump. And so I thought to myself, wow, okay, first of all, my wife's going to kill me. But I thought, okay, let's give that a try. Now, if it was the world's second tallest or third tallest, I really wouldn't probably have cared as much as, okay, this is the world's tallest, so it's like you got to do it. So we did it. And, so I didn't feel pushed into it as much as I thought in retrospect that I would always feel the need to come back here to do this world's tallest bungee jump off of a building sort of thing. It was about 80 stories. There was a cloud layer, so you couldn't really see the ground. I even couldn't really see.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Basically when I punched through the clouds, it was a little too late to decide if it was going to be a good thing or a bad thing. So, but, for me, that's what I look at, or what are the things that are happening around that I can do that might be something I think about later on as something I wish I could have done. And I think on getting on the dream trip side of this, how does that work? Well, on the dream trips, there's always generally a day or two of free time. Find out what's there. In Cancun, where we send a lot of people, take a day trip and go to Chichen Itza, where the pyramids are and the old ruins are. If you're in Europe, there's always things to do a day or two outside of a dream trip. In Asia, there's always places to go climb or visit or go look at and see and experience.
So I think what I'm hearing you say is that when you go on a dream trip, it's all well and good to laze around and have fun and just chill and maybe have a cocktail by the pool, but you've got an opportunity to embrace, and you should really embrace it.
You should, absolutely. Go all the way in, man.
Now, if I'm a brand new member and I'm looking at this for the first time and I'm saying to myself, this whole traveling with a group of people is kind of weird. I'm not too sure whether I'm used to it or comfortable with it. What advice would you give there?
Sure. So I think that group travel works in a lot of different sort of demographics and travel styles. Certainly for the novice traveler, it's much easier when you're traveling with a group because so much of the logistics are figured out for you. You show up at the airport, there's someone with a sign, you get on the van. A lot of people who travel alone, like, again, let's take Cancun as an example. They don't know if the taxi fare is $20 or $200, right? And someone says, oh, it's 800, and is that 800 pesos or $800?
Exactly.
Right? So you don't know that kind of thing. When you're part of a group, it's a lot easier. You don't have to think about it. Number two is that we generally match people up. So when we're doing a curated group tour, a dream trip, a lot of times what'll happen is the people who get on in the car or the van or the bus, however many people we need to accommodate at a given time, they'll get on the bus and they'll start talking because why? They're like interests. They have very similar backgrounds. Mm-hmm. They come from all parts of the world to get to a particular or a specific dream trip. But once they're on the dream trip, they know they're there for the same reason. And they'll start talking about their experiences and what works and what heightens the level of emotion that they have in this trip. So I think that on the group side, so for new people, it's kind of that. For people in the middle, it's an opportunity for them to either refine stories or to sort of venture out a little more now that they've had a couple of dream trips under their belt. And then for the experienced traveler, so I've been to over 100 countries, and I enjoy going on group trips because I always find time to do things that interest me, and I enjoy the groups. I enjoy people who are there and who have something they want to experience, even if it is lying on the beach. There's always a time to sit down and tell a story or to share an experience or to take a look at a life event.
This product can be almost everything to everyone.
It is. And that's why I said that, on a dream trip, the way we build them is we build it so we get the sort of the basics out of the way. We add a great experience, something that's part of the trip. We leave time before or after so that people can go do something maybe that they've wanted to explore or do or see. And there's always plenty of time for community, for people to talk to each other, to share what their experiences are on that trip. And at the end, it's really about also for them making friends.
I think you really summed it up perfectly out there. And world traveler, new president of Rovia, Jim Menge, thank you so much for joining us and talking to our membership today.
You bet, Wayne. It's great to be here. Thank you.
Today's feature.
I really like the fact that he was talking about how he bungee jumped.
Yeah, wasn't that cool? I couldn't do that.
That is so cool. Well, it just shows, too. I mean, age is really just a number. I mean,
kind of like the Golden Girls, really.
Oh, goodness. Which, by the way, was our clue. That's what I was trying to sing, the theme song from the Golden Girls.
Trying to sing is the way to really phrase that one.
One day I'm just going to bust it out and you all are going to say, wow, actually can sing.
I'm sure you've got a beautiful voice. I'm really sure you do.
The part about the Golden Girls, and the reason why I wanted to give that clue is because our DT Local update is in South Florida. Believe it or not, the last episode of that show aired 30 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
You can believe it.
I feel so old, Hannah. I feel
are.
Really old.
You're such a Blanche. You're such a Blanche.
Okay, well, I am a Blanche. I don't mind admitting I'm a bit bossy. I can be a bit bossy, which is why I'm going to say right now, we're just going to have to listen to the social beat.
The social beat.
Well, Jason has done some really incredible research in finding out how community travel is really growing throughout the world right now. And we thought we'd like to share a few insights of that with you. And both of us are actually looking at some really incredible statistics. And the first one that hits me is, do you want to tell us exactly what the deal is with millennials and travel these days?
Millennials really do have a large impact on our community. And at iMarketing Inc. found that 58% of millennials prefer to travel with friends. And that's incredible to see, is that young people love to go out, have these really great tailored experiences together while they're on a dream trip. I think that's what we're finding, is that not only do they want to experience a new city, a new country, they want to do it with people that they know and that they enjoy to spend time with.
I'm more of the Gen Xer, and I enjoy community travel too. It's really so much more of our culture, and I'm looking down here, and you've actually got something that's talking a little bit about people who go to places based on the culture. What's going on with that, Jason?
So culture is actually really a strong point here on all trips. Positive Luxury actually unveiled a report recently, and they found that 2 trends discussed in their latest industry report is that experiences and personalization were 2 of the major factors that impact the decision in buying travel.
We should really point out that while you're on a dream trip, check out your app and make sure that you're not missing any really great DreamTrips local eats that are actually in that particular area too. The whole social aspect is really big. And if I'm actually on a dream trip or I'm going to one of those DreamTrips local eats, and I'm going to be experiencing it, what's the best way that I can actually share that with our community out there?
So there are quite a few ways that you can share it. One, we actually have our app, and in that app is built an incredible social media presence, which you can share your photos, share your experiences, tag the location. So my personal recommendation would be to start with our app, and then from there, what I would do is I would share that on the social media channels that you prefer to use. Make sure you use the hashtag #TravelYourCity for DreamTrips Local so that we can actually go in and share that on our own pages for DTL. And if you're using the sign, a great hashtag for that would be to use the hashtag YSBH. That way we can actually go in, identify, and really share these amazing moments that you're experiencing all over the world together.
That's really cool that you brought that up there. I mean, YSBH, for some of our newer members, what does YSBH stand for?
So YSBH is actually You Should Be Here. And so what we're finding is that our members really love to share their experiences with the rest of the world and really show that you should be here. Not only are people sharing this concept on destinations where it may be their first time, they're sharing that in their own city. They are taking the sign, they're taking this concept of you should be here, and they're making that applicable to their own backyard.
It's really great to be part of such a social community.
Absolutely. Luxury Frontiers actually discovered in their report that consumers are in fact buying experiences instead of that so-called stuff. But really what they found is that what people love to enjoy and spend and invest their time in is in fact the experience-driven approach. And so what we're finding is with DreamTrips Local, with our DreamTrips offering, we want to actually provide people with the opportunity to experience amazing culture, experience the best of their city together as a community.
And let's face it, the lifespan of a HD TV is probably about 8 or 9 years, and the lifespan of a memory is forever.
It's timeless, Wayne, and I think that's something that we're just continuing to build is timeless memories for people to share together.
You've been listening to Jason Clayton, who's our social media guru here at the company. And thanks, Jason, for joining us today and for really going into some great detail as to why travel in your community or community travel is really an incredible thing, and every one of our members should really partake in it.
Absolutely. Thanks, Wayne. Always a fun time.
The Social Beat.
I really enjoyed actually doing that with Jason for a change. I mean, we won't do that every single time, but he had such incredible facts and really did a lot of great research on how important the social community is.
Well, it very much so is an asset to our company, especially, if you use the DreamTrips app. You can share through photos. Mm-hmm. You can share through just updating your newsfeed about where you are. And now the really neat thing is you can also be a part of a community of places that you've gone.
I think it works where, if you're on a dream trip, you can actually set up a group within the app and communicate with them prior to the trip. I know I had one of the developers say to me that he had a friend that he was traveling with that said they'd forgotten their passport. They were at the airport and they'd forgotten to bring their passport with them, and he actually messaged him via the DreamTrips app and dropped by his house and grabbed the passport from his friend and went off to the airport and really saved their trip for them. And that's just through the group messaging feature in the app, which is really cool.
I mean, all you have to do is get on your app and see if anybody has been to where you want to go, or vice versa. You can share where you've been too, so it's very neat.
It's cool, and that's actually how I found our next guest for the membership spotlight. He's a really cool guy, and I've been following his newsfeed on the DreamTrips app now for a long time, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy it, and I think you'll enjoy it as well, Hannah.
All right, let's do it.
Member Spotlight.
And today I have a member who is on the phone all the way from Zimbabwe in the beautiful continent of Africa. He has a very interesting background. He was actually born in Los Angeles, raised in Portugal, and he went to school in the United Kingdom. So we do have that much in common. And I would like you to join me in welcoming Anand Patel to the podcast.
Hey Wayne, how are you doing? Thanks for having me on.
I'm really glad you could make the time to speak to us today. And did I get your bio correct? I mean, you have really been all over the place, my friend. How long have you been a member of DreamTrips?
5 years now, actually.
That's a long time, so I guess you're liking it so far.
Well, let's put it this way. I've been a member of DreamTrips for 5 years. That's a bit more loyal than my gym membership. So yeah, definitely loving it.
Of course, this episode is all about DreamTrips and the value of it being such an incredible travel community.
Okay.
What was your first impression when you actually traveled with a group of people on a dream trip?
Okay, so my first trip ever 5 years ago was Mykonos in Greece. And I kind of first thought traveling with a membership would mean there would be tons of people around and it wouldn't have that personal touch, but it was completely the opposite. We arrived, we connected with a few people which were like-minded, still in touch with them. 5 years later, I'm still meeting some of the people I met on that trip. And creating those friendships and those bonds were once in a lifetime, really, because it allowed us to have conversations that we wouldn't have had otherwise.
That's really cool. Now, did you go with friends that you knew, or did you go by yourself and just make friends there?
On that first trip, I went with two people from Zimbabwe. I had met through the membership, so traveling with them was kind of fun, and we're still in touch, of course. We see each other regularly, and we're actually going to the next dream trip to Zanzibar.
So you met people on a dream trip that you'd never met before, and you're still friends with them now?
I'm friends with them now, keep in touch. Obviously, we have one thing in common, which is the passion of travel, and we want to have funky experiences around the world, so that was really, really nice. Another very similar example is last year I went to do a Voluntourism in Victoria Falls, a homeless shelter, and in touch with a couple of members. One's in London, one's in Hong Kong, and we're actually meeting up later this year to do a Voluntour in Kathmandu. So if you told me 5 years ago that those kind of relationships were possible, I would have never believed you.
You know, I think that's really what's special about our community, that the World Ventures Foundation does a lot of really great things, and we'll be dedicating a whole podcast episode to the foundation in the future.
It was a warming experience. It was actually, the reason I say that is I didn't know before this that one could travel this way. See, I traveled a lot before I joined. But not in this way. I didn't think you could make friends and then see them 2-3 years later and connect on another dream trip somewhere. The first trip obviously is overwhelming because you're not sure what to expect. I can't even say enough about it.
Now, let's go back to the funky experiences you mentioned. What were some of those experiences that really stick in your mind?
Recently, we went hot air ballooning in Mahalisburg Mountains, the oldest mountain range in southern Africa.
Oh, wow.
And we had to get up at, it was ridiculous. We had to get up at like 4 a.m. in winter, and you never think Africa has winter, but it does. And it was freezing cold, and we were all huddled around a fire waiting for the hot air balloons to be set up and stuff. But it was beautiful because we ended up, after hot air ballooning, we had whiskey porridge and champagne for breakfast. I mean, it was like it was fun. It was really cool.
So you said you were traveling on a dream trip again in November?
Yeah, I'm going in November again. I'm taking my mother for an experience so we can bond at that level. I'm trying to get my mom and dad on one trip a year with me so that I can have those memories because they don't. Things happen, and I want to have that database of memories with me. So I took my dad to Fiji and Bali, because Indonesia's been on his list. And then in November, my mom and I go to rebuild an orphanage in Kathmandu post the earthquake. So that's something we're really looking forward to. And my mom also is really excited because she's invited her cousin from Los Angeles, and that's allowing us to really bond as a family.
Well, you've taken the whole concept of community and expanded it through family, friends, voluntours,
Yep.
in fact, to the whole full gauntlet of experiences available.
I think life's too short. You just got to clock in what you can, do what you can, even if it's just a short weekend away. I've always loved it, yeah.
Having been a member for 5 years, if there was a brand new member right now listening to the podcast who's perhaps saying to themselves, I'm not too sure about this travel community thing, it's all a bit weird, what would you say to them?
I would say when I joined, I'm an introvert by nature, so I didn't necessarily want to mix and mingle with lots of people. But the way Dream Trips is modulated, it's just allowing every person to be their own person and celebrating that in the Dream Trip, but also connecting with people at the same level as you. So I would say, put your chips in, book something, go experience it with a critical eye, have some fun along the way, and be open to the universe, because I'm telling you, the world is a beautiful place, and with Dream Trips, it's just getting so much simpler to see everything.
Anand Patel, all the way over there in beautiful Zimbabwe, thank you so much for sharing with us on the DreamTrips podcast.
Thank you so much.
Member Spotlight.
You know, I have heard rumors that we are growing in Africa, but this just solidifies right there that we truly are growing. And we have so many neat trips in Africa as well that you all should definitely check out.
I'd always wanted to go to Victoria Falls.
I know. Well, in the safari too.
Oh gosh, yeah, that would be really cool. Really
Lions
cool.
and tigers and bears.
It's another world, totally another world, and it's a world that we make available to all of our members. That the travel community that we have does enable you to really broaden your horizons, meet a whole bunch of new people, get to know people that have similar interests to you, and just really go out of the way to have fun in life and really experience all that life's got to offer.
You mean outside of Texas? There's life outside of Texas?
Well, there is life outside of Texas, without a doubt. And in fact, I think that you should really talk a little bit about the life outside of Texas, that's specifically in South Florida.
Ooh, this gets me excited. South Florida, this has been a great location, to focus on, mainly because it ties right back into the entire theme of this podcast, which is travel communities. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, especially in the States, associate South Florida with retirement communities, which I'm sure Wayne might already be looking into.
Hey, watch it, you.
But we also have, of course, Miami, which is strongly in the Latin influence. We have the Florida Keys, so Jimmy Buffett, Margaritaville.
Beautiful. Please don't sing the song.
Wasted away.
Oh, okay.
In Margaritaville.
Oh,
Go.
my gosh.
Looking for my...
Last jigger of salt.
Salt.
That was my really bad American accent.
Is it jigger of salt?
I don't know.
Shaker. What is a jigger of salt?
Oh, I don't know. I'm English. What can I say?
Anyway. So, without further ado, here's my segment.
DreamTrips Local Updates.
I am very excited to be in South Florida. For those who don't know, it is a cultural melting pot, if you will, of different cultures and cuisines. Probably the most popular would be the Cubana cuisine, but there's also Americana and Italiana. And it just so happens that one of our merchants is the award-winning Pelican restaurant, which is in Miami South Beach. And today I'm joined by Giuseppe Castiello, the general manager at the Pelican in Miami South Beach. So I'm looking around this location, and it is so unique, and I wish I could better describe it, but I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit more about it.
I think it's one of the landmarks of South Beach, because the environment was building in 1934, and this is a really unique hotel because it's a boutique hotel.
Yeah, and we were speaking earlier one-on-one before the interview, and we were talking about where you're from. You had mentioned you're from Italy, which it's pretty obvious that your accent is not, anywhere in the United States. We laughed about that, of course. So why Miami out of all the places to choose to come and live and work?
Even the people that live here and they work here is from Europe, from South America, from Central America. So make this city eclectic, make this city unique, because we have all people around the world. So you can try Italian food, you can try Cuban food, you can try Peruvian food, you have sushi, you have Mexican food, you have Thailand food. You have a lot of kind of food that make this city unique.
So it sounds like you all have a lot of specialties and a variety of fare, which is wonderful, and I'm sure that our Dream Trips members are loving it. Have you created anything special for our members?
So last night we have this great event with DreamTrips Local. The member was really nice people. We create for them our signature drink that is mojito. The people was really friendly. They have fun. They congratulations because they said that we exceed all their expectations, and they were very happy. So our goal is to make members really happy because we want to build a long-term relationship with them.
So of these members that you speak of, would you say that the majority of them are local, or do you just get a variety from across the globe?
The first day they were from Chicago, and in Chicago the weather is not like Miami, so they really like the heat in Miami, and so we refresh their experience with refreshing cocktail as ginger apple mojito, passion fruit mojito on the classic mojito. We also make some piña colada with fresh pineapple and coconut that is typical fruit of Caribbean, as Miami Beach is. I mean, we love it. We love it. We would like to keep going this relationship with DreamTrips Local, and then we look forward to have more customers.
So I want to go back a little bit to when we were discussing, or you were saying that you had a variety of different types of cuisine. I was wondering though, do you have a specialty?
We are Italian restaurant, so our chef is Italian like me. The specialty of our restaurant is pasta that is homemade. It's a seafood that is very fresh, it's catch of the day. We have a delivery every morning. We have our own fisherman. The steak is Black Angus beef, certified, no antibiotic, no hormones, or steroid. The same for chicken. We make pizza, we have appetizer, raw bar, and very fresh as well.
So why choose DreamTrips Local? What is it about us that really stood out from the rest of different types of programs and offerings?
What makes DreamTrip Local unique is the fact that they already know where to go. For example, they know when they will go to Pelican, they will get homemade pasta because our chef is Italian, like me, so our pasta is homemade. They will have a fresh seafood because we have our fishermen and delivery every morning. So this is the difference that we have with those members, is that they know already what they're gonna get for us.
So our philosophy here at DreamTrips Local is all about living fun, freedom, and fulfillment, and creating joy in everything that we do. Would you say that your customer philosophy is similar to this?
Our goal is to love people when we work. Our goal is to exceed their expectation, and actually, thank God, the members are very happy about us. So I want to thank a lot DreamTrips Local because I think it's great, and we look forward to keep going to work to this project in the future.
Well, if our members have as much fun as I have had today, I will tell you, I am sure they love the Pelican. It's been an honor, and it's been wonderful to meet you. Thank you so much.
DreamTrips Local updates.
Wow, I tell you what, Hannah, that was incredible. And after listening to you guys talking for the last few minutes, I really feel like I want a mojito myself right now.
It's interesting you say that, and I'm not going to go into too much detail about, the mojitos or margaritas or why I know they're great. But yeah, what goes on in South Florida stays in South Florida.
Maybe we should give them a little window into what's going to be on the next episode.
We should close it with some fireworks.
Some fireworks? I think that would be a great idea, like the 4th of July fireworks.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like a little bit of freedom.
I think so. Yeah. Well, and in fact, the next episode is all about the freedom of voluntours.
Ooh.
And a little bit about
segue.
how you can, and all about how you can actually get involved and really at the same time give back to the communities that we visit.
Yeah, and it's wonderful. I know that some of our people in our marketing department recently went on a Voluntour together as a bonding experience to Guatemala, and they came back completely different people in a good way.
Exactly.
Just giving and I mean, it lasted probably about a week or so afterward, I'd say.
It's a cool deal though, and I think we're really gonna go in depth into what it's like to give within this community. So in addition to the voluntours that we're going to be talking about in the next podcast, where is it you're going to be heading to in our DTL update?
I will say it is the land of people who put gravy on things. Think entertainment has to do with a stick and ice.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and they like denim.
Denim? A? I think I
Not
know what it
really.
is. I think I know
They're
what
a
it
bit
is.
north of us.
They're a
but-
bit north of Dallas, quite
Mhm.
a bit north of Dallas.
Yeah, should I sing a song from one of the famous people there?
Oh, I would really wish that you wouldn't.
Once more you open the door.
I know who it is, and now I think I know
in
where you're
my
going for the next
heart
episode.
My
And I want to say somewhere really
will-
bad because I'm in pain.
Because you're
But-
crying because you were so moved.
I was totally moved by that rendition. I really was. I think it's going to be a phenomenal next episode. Please do share the podcast with all of your fellow members. Share that on social networks, and don't forget to hashtag DreamTrips Podcast. We'd love to hear exactly what you think of us so far, and maybe even some episodes that you'd like us to feature in the future. So hashtag DreamTrips Podcast on the app or on social network of your own preference. And all there really is left to say is, remember, the best way to experience the world is together.
The DreamTrips Podcast.
The proceeding was a discussion about the benefits of the World Ventures DreamTrips membership and is meant for entertainment purposes only. Offers and benefits will vary by market and location. Members should refer to the DreamTrips.com website for terms and conditions of membership in their market and location.